Alright, comic book nerds, how you doing? It's Keith. So after I posted that video up the other day, there was some mention of doing some video reviews up on the wall. I've been to collect my stuff today, so I thought have a go, see how it turns out. I'm afraid I haven't made any notes, which I probably should have done, so this is all going to be off the top of my head. So you're going to have to bear with me for any fuck ups or, stupid things. So I've armed myself with a cup of tea, and I'm sitting in my lovely den of comics, which I'll show you around now. See? Look at all the lovely things. And yeah, I suppose I may as well just get on with it, really. So I've got a couple of weeks worth. I picked up a couple last week that I haven't actually reviewed on the wall yet. So we're going to start with the latest issue of Punisher Max. This is the beginning of the Bullseye storyline, written by Jason Aaron, art by Steve Dillon. Some good stuff. I've been enjoying the Punisher Max ever since Jason Aaron took over. They did the relaunch of issue 1 after the previous series had finished at 75. I hadn't really enjoyed it much after issue 60 when Garth Ennis stopped writing, but Jason Aaron's really turned the book around. It's definitely worth a read again. So if you're not picking that up now, it's the first issue of the latest storyline. It's definitely worth giving a go. So yeah, top stuff. Next we've got Daredevil issue 506. Lovely cover on that one. Really liking that. The story inside. If you've been following Daredevil recently, you'll know he's currently leader of the Hand. So the current storyline, he's at the Hand base in Japan, and he's trying to sort of solidify his leadership. It's alright, it's not a bad read. Andy Diggle has been doing a very good job on that after he started, but there seems to be a co-writer on at the moment, so I think there's a little bit of a sparkle missing from it, but it's by no means a terrible read. The art's decent, and it's quite a lot of build-up in there for the Shadowland event that's coming along this summer, so again, worth a look. If you're a Daredevil fan, it's not the best it's ever been, but certainly it's not a bad read by any standards. Next we've got this. This is Batman 698. I've not been enjoying Batman since Tony Daniel's been writing it. The guy should stick to art. He's a decent artist, but I don't know, as a writer, no great shakes, really. This one's a little better than the last few issues he's done. Batman is tracking down some sort of serial killer that's a copycat of various different Batman villains. So you get a guy that's been carved up like Zaz, and a guy with a bird stuffed in his mouth as if it was a penguin. I don't really know where he's going. Nothing particularly exciting. But Grant Morrison's back with issue 700, so all will be good with the world when that happens. Next of all, we're on to what I picked up today. This is a bit of a weird one. This is the Captain America Who Won't Wield the Shield one shot. It's a little comedy storyline that's written by Jason Aaron and Matt Fraction and Steve Moore. Basically, it's a little silly comedy book about four Bushmen running around and complaining the Marvel Universe has all gone too dark. Various comic creators appear in that. Ed Brubaker crops up, Jason Aaron. It's funny. It's a good book. There's some really nice artwork in there. Brendan McCarthy even does a very nice Captain America storyline, which is a sort of mystic Captain America spoof thing. But there's a lot of stuff because the creators themselves are appearing in it. There's a lot of kind of in-jokes in there, and you do feel a bit like you're just kind of reading somebody else's in-jokes that you don't really get. But it's not terrible. Again, I'm giving some very insipid opinions, I'm afraid, but there's nothing really grabbing me here. Give it a shot if you fancy a chuckle, but don't expect to be blown away. Still, like I say, nice artwork, Brendan McCarthy, top stuff, definitely. Next one we've got X-Men Legacy 235. Very nice cover there from Eddie Grenoff. It's part 4 of the Second Coming story arc, which, as you all know, is going on across the X-Men books at the moment. Very difficult to judge parts of crossover as single issues because, obviously this is a chapter or something much bigger. It's a decent issue. Mike Carey's a good writer. Runs along at a fair clip. There's quite a bit happens in there. Greg Land does the art a little better than he normally does, I must admit. It's not quite as diabolical as we've come to expect recently. I'm enjoying Second Coming so far, what I've read of it. I didn't read Chapter 3, which was the New Mutants issue. But the whole thing, it just feels very kind of filmic. There's a real sort of movie sensibility to the whole thing that I'm enjoying. I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out, and obviously there's going to be a big shake-up in the X-Men afterwards with all this vampire stuff coming in. At least for the first story arc. And yeah, Second Coming, it's been good stuff and I'm enjoying. Hope that carries on being decent. Right, next one we've got here is Joe the Barbarian. This is issue 4. This is Grant Morrison and Sean Murphy. It's from Vertigo. I loved Joe the Barbarian from the first issue. It's absolutely fantastic. Everybody knows how big a Grant Morrison fan I am, but this one's it's brilliant. It's kind of a spin on the traditional fantasy quest narrative. If you haven't read it already, the main character is a young American kid who might just be having a diabetes-induced hallucination, or he might actually have fallen into an alternate universe where he's prophesied to save the world from death itself. It's a hell of a good read. It reads kind of like a mishmash of Neil Gaiman and Terry Gilliam. It's really brilliant. If you're not reading it yet, obviously don't pick it up from this issue. Wait for the trade. But fantastic stuff. Cannot speak highly enough of it. Next, we've got Hellblazer, issue 266. Again, great cover there from Simon Bisley, who's also doing the interior artwork. Peter Milligan's been doing Hellblazer for a little while now, and he's been doing some really good stuff with it. There's a lot more of a satirical edge to it that's kind of been missing from Hellblazer for a while, really. I think there's been a lot of concentration on the magic aspect of the character and the mystical things, and Peter Milligan's really been bringing it back down to a sort of grimy street level thing that really suits John Constantine. Again, it's the second part of a 2-part story arc. Might not be worth picking up if you haven't been reading so far, but if you're not a Hellblazer fan, I recommend jump on some point at the moment, because Peter Milligan's doing great stuff in there. Next one we've got here, Dark Wolverine, number 85. There we go. I've really enjoyed Dark Wolverine so far. I love Daken as a character. I love what Daniel Way's been doing with it. The Siege arc that they've just done recently, which has just finished, was absolutely brilliant, and I thought the sense of incorporating a character into a crossover and using it to expand the character a bit, absolutely brilliant. But the latest issue, not so great. It's following on from the previous issue of Wolverine Origins, and in that sense it feels more like an issue of Wolverine Origins than an issue of Dark Wolverine. It's not going to make any sense to you whatsoever if you haven't been reading Wolverine Origins, which is coming up to an end pretty soon. I think that's ending with issue 50. Dark Wolverine will be ending soon as well, because that's getting relaunched from number 1 for Heroic Age. This is the end of the last few years of Daniel Way storylines in Wolverine and Dark Wolverine, with Romulus, who turns out to have been the guy who's been behind all of the crap in Logan's life. So yeah, it's alright. Dark Wolverine, as I say, is a book that I've really been enjoying, and I'm looking forward to the issue 1 relaunch. But yeah, this isn't going to really mean anything to you if you haven't been following the Wolverine storylines over the last couple of years. So, you know, if you're not reading it already, you probably don't care. And last but not least, we have 2000 AD, issue 1680, or 1680 if you prefer. 2000 AD is going really great at the moment. There's some major stuff happening in Judge Dredd. The strips we've got running in the moment are Damnation Station, which is a sort of weird alien war storyline, which 2000 AD loves doing weird alien war storylines. We've got Zombo, which kind of defies description. It's about a zombie engineered to destroy a sort of zombie plague from this weird death planet thing, and he's currently on a space station where an American Idol X Factor style talent contest is going on, and it's weird, but it's fantastic. We've also got the Grievous Adventures of Ichabod Azrael, which is a sort of mystical western kind of thing. It reminds me a bit of the Saint of Killers miniseries that Garth Ennis did off Preacher, but it's got a really lovely kind of poetic writing style to it. A lot of the dialogue in it's done in captions, so yeah, that's really good. And Nikolai Dante as well, who's a very long-running 2000 AD character, who's coming up to the end of his run now. He's been, I think, it was about 1997. Nikolai Dante started, so. It's going to be a shame to see him go when he goes, but hell of a final storyline going on with there. I've only got 1 issue of 2000 AD because with all the crap with the volcano, a little bit behind, and obviously with that being the only comic knocking around, Diamond were a bit loath to just be shipping issues of 2000 AD around, so I'll be getting a couple of those when I go and pick up this week. So that's all I've got at the moment. I hope this has turned out alright. I've done it all in a single take, and I really should have made some notes first, so it's all been kind of off the top of my head, so if I keep going every 5 minutes, then, you know, apologies. And yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the group. See you soon.